embody our own approach to our own circumstance of various particular social identity. Hence, what is good for me has no idea for what is good for someone else and who habits those rules. That means it also turns back to the affirmative case because we have no idea whether or not our poems are going to be good for other individual people, which means that it will only devolve back to the NC. Everyone is different and has a different concept of the good. For instance, what I think is good may be radically different from what you or yourself enjoy doing. These goods are all contingent on our identity, which is derivative of our community rather than from poem. McIntyre 2. I inherit everything from myself from the past, my family, my city, my tribe, my nation, a variety of debts, inheritances, rightful expectation, obligation, they constitute the given of my life. My moral starting point is supplied the part in my own given life is my own moral particularity. The story of my life is also embedded in the story of those communities from which I derive my identity without these moral particularities and which will begin the world for anywhere to begin. So, we're going to begin our lives from the stories that we have. From the very instant that we are born, that's whenever we create our story. That is going to be the best writer to the best poem in terms of the debate of thus. Because the community is inescapable, we're representative of us, we cannot undermine it or thus be undermining ourselves. That stands promoting the continuity of the community. Finally, my favorite preclusive furnace because the community is the source of all moral language. Concept of language implies community to be multiple beings coming together to create something shared. For instance, the fact that you can understand the words coming out of my mouth right now is indicative of the fact that we both subscribe to a common community or different communities which overlap, i.e. the ones that speak English. If individuals were completely isolated, there would be no need in order to act a community outside of our own thoughts. I contend that prioritizing resource extraction over environmental protection is key to upholding the continuance of the community. First, communities inherently require resources to sustain itself for energy and other necessary functions. Thus, any sort of community requires some level of resource extraction, or else it cannot exist. However, these resources must derive from something else, somewhere, such as the environment, meaning that the community is constantly in use for the environment to sustain itself. Because denying these resources signifies the end of community. We must have to prioritize resource extraction. Second, resource extraction is integral in terms of the community's history. Resource extraction is constituent for history. The significance of metals is clearly reflected in our destination of early historical epochs in ancient times. The ability to extract and process to keep metals determines the fate of empires. In more recent times, other resources have provided the basis for industrial revolution. This also turns back to the affirmative case because it is the most integral part of our own identity. If she wants to create more those identities coming out the world about that, means you have to look to our history first, and she has no arguments coming off the AC about why we have to do this. Finally, they're going to try to cross-play a lot of the affirmative case framework in order to turn back the NC, but that's not true because it's inherently problematic because the NC functions on a higher layer. The NC doesn't take stance on specific instances of resource extraction rather than defense resolution as principle. This means that empirical arguments coming out of the AC don't matter in terms of my advocacy. So, let's go to the AC. First, I have two poems that I wrote. One, the life I live is filled with work and a job that gives me money to revive my family's life and my strew, so I will work, and work I'll do. Second, roses are red, violets are blue. I love resource extraction, so should you. Also, I prefer my poems because one, they're specific to Valentine's month, so that means I prefer them. Secondly, it's specific to my own identity because I can't integrate my own identity. I created my own identity within Primetime, which means that she's only furthering the identity of Dr. Seuss, which in and of itself is not creating her own identity like she says coming off the affirmative case. So, these turn back also. She has no weighing arguments in the AC about why for her poem over some other poems. That means you prefer my arguments first. No new arguments on this issue, and then wanting arguments because these were arguments she should have had in the AC about why or how we should weigh individual poems. At best, I have two. She has one. That means I would weigh her over. Even if you can't decide between the two, presume neg because you have to be able to prove a statement true before you can prove it false. Okay, let's go to the framework. Off of the AC point. One, this is not true. You can criticize the resolution yourself and take a stance outside the resolution and have a critical act such as that. Multiple other individuals have done this and done it very well. For example, Emma Weddle and multiple other people such as that have been able to criticize the resolution and been able to do it well. So that means that you can do this as well. So that means that you are only allowing yourself to be biting into the ideas of the norms itself. You cannot allow for the norms to be able to base of your speech off of Bleicher card. And the Bleicher card, one, this is not true. You can read your own framework. The framework is who you are. So that means that your own framework will determine who you are in terms of debater. Also, moreover, you don't have to be a policymaker. Rather, she's only conforming to the norms of debating in and of itself. So that means you can read your own framework such as I am coming out of the community and see. Two, my case doesn't link to this because it's specific to community based off of how I create my own identity. Links back to the affirmative case quite well. Third, why this doesn't matter in terms of this specific debate round. She needs reasons for why this debate round in and of itself are reasons why we need the criticism coming out of the AC in and of itself. This debate round is not not constitutive of that or linking into these arguments. Otherwise, these are just links coming out of other rounds. Next, let's go to the visa point. That's the Butler card. One, the Butler card concedes the fact that community matters in the first place. Also, my evidence is better on this issue because it determines what actually creates our identity. Also, remember that my terms always turn back in terms of Butler because we actually create our own identities better. This also turns like ISCOP. So, CISA point. There are going to be a lot of differences from country to country whenever there are different variants in terms of language. So, if someone from a developing country came up and used their own poem to describe why they wanted environmental protection, that would change differently between developing country to developing country too. Because of the language barrier, this only means that individuals are going to assume that metaphors are something that they want, which means it's not going to actually get the point across. 3, nobody actually understands what the metaphors even say. At best, this means that we will be able to identify what is actually creating an identity coming off the poem, or at worst, it's going to turn back the affirmative case, because that means that people are going to take the metaphors as wrong. And yeah, 1 second. All right, and off is cross specifically. If you really wanted it not to be true, that means that you should just go out and become an orator or something like that, because that means that your life will be able to be better in terms of that, because you can actually identify yourself as an individual. And every smart or Lincoln Douglas debate has to be that in and of itself. And every single country is going to be inherently different based off its individual policy. Each individual country goes by environmental protection, different degrees of rigor, which means that we can never understand a Napoleon coming off the perfect case why she actually solves. And off Nicholas. 1, cross-play the language barriers. 2, we can take, actually, cross-play the arguments coming off is prof. Let's go to the actual arguments coming off roll the ballot. So, roll the ballot, I link it to coming off the negative case because I create my own identity. Also, remember, sharing those who are brain dead or those individuals who can't decide or think for themselves won't be able to be a poet in and of themselves. And, also, moreover, turn the affirmative fails to question the assumption behind the environmental movement. She's only going to be imperialist and mindset. Newman. Environmental theories and values have lethal consequences for millions of people unless developed country eco-imperialists and invisibly impose the standard which all companies, governments, and individuals ought to be expected to conform, advocating policy, and literally result in the deaths of countless millions of people force of modern technology or precise way to eco-imperialists seek to prevent the world from acquiring. She has to link into these trends as well. Also remember, I have better poems. She can't make more weighing in the next case. She has to beat Beck BNC in order to win the affirmative case. She needs to be proving unique reasons why this round of criticism matters. Otherwise, I don't win.
So just to clarify, you read the Nelson part, right?
Yeah, I read the Nelson.
Churchill, right?
Not Churchill.
Okay.
No, I read Newman.
You read Newman?
Yeah.
Right at the bottom? Oh,
yeah, it's right after Churchill.
Okay. So you talk about how metaphors, people won't understand them. Do you understand the Lorax?
Actually, I didn't understand the Lorax until someone sat down with me and explained to me the movie.
Why can't
well, the story, first of all, and then I had to watch the movie.
Okay,
and the movie still confused me.
So why can't we explain the metaphor?
Because of those language barriers that I've been talking about.
Yeah.
Moreover, the idea is that some people take things to be serious whenever they're actually not. For example, I can't take people to be sarcastic or to be telling the truth. So sometimes I assume their truth is being sarcastic or sarcastic.
So on your MC, when you talk about what we think is good or not, so what is good?
I cannot determine what is good for every other individual. That is the point of the negative case.
That's very important, right? So if we can't determine what is good or bad for other people.
So the way we determine it is based off the community. That's McIntyre too.
Based off the community.
Yeah.
How does the community solve?
Alright. I inherit from the past of my family, my city, my tribe, my nation, a variety of debts, rightful expectations, and obligations. This means that I base everything off of my community. I have gained a lot of things from the environment in which I live. I gained a lot of knowledge from my family in which I don't know.
Why can't we use what we learn in the community to do poetry? Or why can't poetry be our story?
I'm saying that the reason why you arbitrarily choose poetry as the solution to the AC is to create your own identity like the AC outlines. I'm saying the way we actually create our identity is coming off of McIntyre too. We base it off of our communities,
but didn't you engage in poetry?
I did.
So why can't poetry be the way that we achieve our identity?
Just because I engage in poetry doesn't mean that I can see that poetry is the best.
Okay.
In fact, I made multiple arguments against that last speech.
Okay, so does the Lorax fit under your standard?
The Lorax?
Yeah.
Like the poem? No, you have to show how it turns back the community.
Why can't I just solve for the community?
No, you have, in order to actually gain offense underneath the negative case, you have to turn the standard, which is promoting the continuance of the community. If the Lorax helps continue the continuance of the community, then you're turning back my case.
Okay.
But your reading of it in the last speech probably doesn't do that.
Why not?
Because it's not continuing the community, like what my standard is.
Why not?
Because there's people dying in multiple other countries right now. There's a lot of people who are very confused with this round, probably. And a lot of people that are outside of this round that don't understand what's happening.
So wait, so your neg is going to solve for people dying in other countries?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the Lorax isn't going to be able to turn back the negative case because you have to prove why the reading of the Lorax continues the community.
Okay.